moment, INEC have not been able to address this particular issue with logistics.
All right.
Michael and Ginka, election, we've been made to understand that it's a human arrangement. So it's just so unfortunate that in this country we are yet to get over with logistic issues. Honestly, we expected that after that postponement, INEC would have at least gone beyond that level of late delivery or late deployment of materials to polling units. At least we should have gone beyond that. And after that postponement, the issue of card readers not functioning very well should have been a thing of the past, but we never got over that. So it
and
has
then
come
the
to
issue
live with
of
us.
Training and retraining of the ad hoc staff.
That was so
That's
obvious.
another issue.
That was so obvious. A correspondent from Aba yesterday reported that one of the ad hoc staff forgot to stamp the ballot papers.
I also, if you remember,
if you ever voted with the ballot not stamped, it will become very invalid. And then when the card reader rates failed to register, you still give a ballot paper to that voter. It means it is going to be an invalid vote, and so many other things.
You also remember that I told you that somewhere in Item, the ad hoc staff there, I don't know, maybe he forgot to put the ink at the tomb of the person that have cast his vote, showing that you've voted. He forgot it. So many people were just voting without
multiple
exactly. So you can
voting.
As well come back and vote
in
repeatedly.
In a situation where an ad hoc staff forgot the password of a card reader. Yesterday was a situation, one of the reporters came back and told me, and I was like, why will you forget the password of the card reader you brought from the collaton, the various distribution centers? But anyways, these are the reports trickling in, and we understand that the collation of results is ongoing at the various collation centers. But we're looking at some of the things that played out yesterday. I think we should start with the issue of security. Well, let's look at the security at the polling center, looking at the number of security personnel attached to various polling centers, and also how violence marred some of the electoral process in some of the states reported, like Rivers State and also in Lagos State. Let's look at the issue of police attached to this polling unit. In a situation where you find just one policeman, sometimes a lady at a polling center, and not bearing arm, it's actually worrisome when you see the hundreds of voters trying to cast their votes at that particular polling unit. What, in the case of violence, what do you expect that kind of a policeman to do? These are the things we need to look out, just to to prevent future occurrences and to make sure that the electoral process actually comes out well the next time.
Well, Michael, of course you know that Nigeria is under-policed. You can't imagine in a polling unit, like I told you yesterday, in a polling station that you have like 4 or 5 voting points, and you have only one female police officer. You can imagine, in case of any violence, what the person would do. You keep wondering. I don't know how many personnel, security personnel that were deployed to man this particular election yesterday. I don't know if Sampson has, a clue to that as regards to how many security personnel that were deployed for this, because that would give us an insight. Like I told you, when we were going to those polling units, we saw heavy armed military men on the road, but they didn't get to the polling units. But I would have loved to see them at the polling, because they are supposed to be there to give a helping hand to the police, because a situation whereby you have only one female police officer in a polling booth has like 4 voting points. It's really, really appalling, because what if there's a violent outbreak there? What happens? I think the military should also go in, but they shouldn't carry arms. That is what I think. They should not carry arms into those.
Anyways, I need to let listener know that the official time for the collation center, official opening of the collation center in Abuja is by 6 p.m. So that is the start of the decision moment. Although collation is ongoing at the various collation centers across the federation, we're talking about the local government collation, then that will move, I think it will move straight to the states, then from the state down to the federation at the ICC, International Conference Center in Abuja, where the National Collation Center is presently situated, and also the Situation Room. So that will be opened by 6 p.m. But let's look at the security, the performance of the security apparatus yesterday at the various polling units. I think, well, some people will call the security agencies that partook in that particular voting process below average. Some will say they did well. Looking at the violence that marred the election in Rivers State and also some of the other states like Delta State where persons were killed, and also in Lagos State. What do you think, Sampson, as a journalist?
Okay, let me point out here that it's just for the peculiarity of Nigeria as a country. If not, we wouldn't be talking about the military coming close to an election scene. It's something not heard of. It's something not even in our laws. For what? Election is something that the police and other security agencies can manage. The police serves as the lead security agency in terms of security management of election process in the country, and then having a police or just a police woman in the polling unit, it shouldn't have been an issue if not for our culture of violence, if not for the high brigadage of our politicians. If not, that shouldn't have been the case. Constitutionally, the police is expected to man the polling unit in conjunction with sister security agencies like the civil defense.
Yes, I didn't even cite them yesterday. So, I don't know what happened.
And then they are not supposed to be armed. It's just like you going into a football stadium, you go into a stadium where there is a match. Inside the pitch, you won't find a security man who bears an arm. Even if you're guarding a VIP, you're not supposed to come inside the stadium arena with your arms. But then the policemen who are armed and on serious patrols are located somewhere close to the polling units where they can swiftly respond to cases of emergency arising from the polling units. I don't know whether you witnessed that, whether there was something like that yesterday from the places you covered. But ordinarily, we're not supposed to have policemen with arms in the polling units. That is why some people wondered what the president meant when he said, get ruthless with ballot box snatchers, because the policemen who would be at the polling units are not expected to bear arms, they're expected to maybe have their baton. So what are they going to do
maybe
with
they should have
armed,
used the baton to hit someone
and then ruthlessly
yes,
on a man that has arms? I mean, guys, let's just look at it critically. So it is not like something bad. It's just for the culture of violence that we have imported into our electoral system.
Another thing we need to look at is the spread of this security agents. I'm talking about the police now. In a situation where some polling units do not even have the presence of police officers, while some do have the presence of multiple policemen guiding a particular polling unit.
You know about flashpoints? You know about flashpoints?
Yes.
Over time, the security agencies, they must have done their analysis, their security threat analysis to determine areas that need serious presence, serious visibility in terms of policing. And this informed deployment of officers to those areas, and working with that indices to determine where that troubles might likely come up. That informs deployment. And again, Ginka said it here, we are under-policed in this country. The UN standard says 10 persons, 1 policeman per 10 persons in Nigeria. I mean, that is the standard. But what do we have here? I think it's about 30,000 or thereabout.
To one police.
To how many are we? Over almost 200 million persons in Nigeria. So we are under-policed, and then you find a situation whereby 10 policemen would be going with one politician, and you go to some police stations and you have like 10 police officers on duty. Then you have 10 policemen going after or going with one politician.
Okay, before we move over to what happened in Rivers State yesterday, because it was very unfortunate, people lost their lives, and also we understand that, well, ballot boxes were snatched, and unfortunately, it was an unfortunate incident. Before we get to that, let's begin from what happened in Osun State, where a local government was burnt. A local government INEC office was burnt down. Fire incident. This is still talking about security, and I understand that the collation was ongoing at that particular collation center in Osun State. Ginka, looking at this, don't you think this is a setback in this kind of situation?
I wonder why we should still be engaging in act of violence at this point. You know, this thing started before the election. We had one here in Abia State, Alangwe South precisely. We had one in Anambra State. We had one in Plateau State, and now the elections of yesterday, we had another one in Osun State. I wonder why anybody would instigate the youth, because I know they are the ones that perpetuate all this kind of violence.
Okay, I do have the details of the story now. Suspected hoodlums, that was last night, attacked the office of INEC in Ijebu-Jesha, that's in Oriade local government area of Osun State. During the attack, the suspects were said to have burned card readers and ballot papers of the just concluded presidential and the National Assembly elections. It was gathered that the hoodlums would have razed down the entire building, but for the timely arrival of the security operatives, a security officer who pleaded anonymity said the incident happened after INEC officials had already declared results. Okay,
maybe it's a case of an aggrieved political party agent and all that. Maybe somebody was aggrieved based on the fact that the result was released.
After INEC officials had already declared result of the elections in the local government areas and
maybe
moved both the staff and some materials to the Senatorial Collation Center at Ilesha Grammar School. Another INEC official who claimed to have witnessed the event and spoke on condition of anonymity told newsmen corroborated the security officer's narrative, saying the commission's officials had already declared results before the thugs came.
You know, all these things could be factored into this issue of violence during election and thuggery as well. It's not only in INEC offices that we've seen this. I think you've seen the clip in Lagos State.
And Rivers State too.
Yes, I saw the one in Lagos State. Agbo Palace Way. I know that place very well. Okota axis, yes. You know, that particular point where talks came and burnt even the ballot papers. You know, you keep wondering, why would anybody want to do that? You know, even when the police officer was trying to prevent them from doing that, that's the issue of under police environment of Nigeria. You know, I talked about it. That's why I said, I don't know, we didn't cite any, what is it called, Nigerian Civil Defense Corps, their personnel. We did, at least to give a support to Nigerian police personnel who were on ground to man polling units. Because if they were there, I think this issue of INEC offices being burnt, the ballot papers at the polling unit being burnt, you know, we wouldn't have had it that yesterday. So that's the issue. I think the security agencies need to do more. They need to do more, deploy more personnel, especially in the March 9th election, where we'll have the local, that is when the real election will happen, the March 9th. That's when we'll have the governorship and the state assembly election. I think the security agencies, they need to do more on that particular issue of security, so that we won't have this experience we had yesterday, where INEC offices in Osun, even before the election, were burnt, and the ballot papers, invasion of the polling unit by thugs and all that. I don't think that thing will happen if those places were fully secured by the security agencies.
Okay, let's move over to the one that happened in Lagos State. Unfortunate incident, I will say, but the police spokesperson has reacted to that particular incident in Lagos State. I think we should listen to the police spokesperson spokesperson in Lagos, reacting to that particular unfortunate incident that took place yesterday in Lagos.
Very well. I started from Ikeja, right from the rack centers, where materials have been distributed to various polling units. Everything was orderly, except some few delay in some rack centers due to logistics. Vehicles coming to pack materials came a little bit late, but everything went on well. As at the time I was leaving Ikeja, all the polling units were already voting. From Ikeja, we moved into Mushin area. Everything was calm and peaceful, and voting was going on very well. Then from Mushin, we moved to Ikorodu. From Ikorodu, we went to Ekpe, and now we are here in Lekki. So far, so good. Everywhere we went, election was going on very well, smoothly.
Security was?
Well secured in most of the places we have gone to. We have not gone to all the parts of Lagos, but from reports I'm having, everywhere is okay. We had information that there was an issue in Agbo Palace Way, in Okota, that some people were being intimidated and they're not allowed to vote. I immediately called the area commander, who moved in there, and things are going on well there. Then we had some few issues in Shomolu. We had some few arrests. Some boys were...
All right, well, we'll give you details of that. We'll give you details of that later during the course of our conversation, what happened in Lagos State, and also give you in-depth details of what really happened in Rivers State. But then we do have someone from Owerri to give us an update of what is happening, what has happened so far, what is happening in Owerri, the Imo State capital, and also Imo State generally.
Hello?
Yeah, we do have Paul Chukwu, a journalist from Owerri, live. Hello, Paul.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, Paul. Paul Chukwu, you're a journalist from Owerri State. What can you make of what happened in Owerri State? Can you give us an update?
That's Imo State.
In Imo State, sorry.
Is it actually what is happening now, or what
happened yesterday in Imo State, Owerri, to be precise, rather?
Yeah, good afternoon once again.
Yeah,
Owerri is peaceful as I'm talking to you. Coalition at the ward level and local government levels are still ongoing as I'm talking to you now.
Okay.
So the election yesterday was largely peaceful, just like I said, but not without some minor hitches.
Okay.
The election started very late in so many of the polling units visited. It may surprise you to know that elections continued in some polling units even till 6 p.m. yesterday.
Why?
Owing to late arrival of materials and officials of INEC. There are even some, there were incidences of, there was no violence anyway, but there are some incidences of some pockets of protest, maybe recorded in the morning by some ad hoc electoral staff of INEC. They were alleging that INEC in Imo actually shortchanged them and used so many other persons who didn't undergo the normal training. It was an allegation too, but at the end of the day, the relevant security agencies were able to, bring everything under control. So there were a large turnout of voters in some of the polling units visited, while in some other areas we recorded a whole lot of voter apathy. Even I just came out from the Owerri Municipal Local Government area where the collation of results is supposed to take place. I saw a large, we are still waiting for INEC to really tell us.
But Paul, hello Paul.
Yes.
What do you think would have accounted to this party from Owerri zone?
Well, I must tell you, Owerri zone or perhaps Owerri municipality is largely made up of, let's just call them foreigners, those who are not from here. And you know what happens? Many of them are civil servants. And whenever election comes like this, so many persons travel out of state, while others don't have interest. I must tell you that the election that was supposed to hold on 16, that was rescheduled yesterday actually dealt a very big blow to the exercise yesterday. People, a whole lot of persons lost, enthusiasm. They lost the zest, the zeal they had before 16 to vote. We came out very early in the morning on the 16th of February when the election, the first ballot was supposed to take place. The whole streets, all the major roads were deserted. But yesterday, lo and behold, I came out around 6 a.m. I saw so many persons going about their normal businesses. I think the apathy we recorded yesterday was largely due to the rescheduling of that election on the 16th to 23rd. That was actually what happened.
Okay, let me take you back to Olu Zone now. Olu Zone is home to the AA governorship candidate, Uche Nwosu.
Yes.
It's equally the home to the APC governorship candidate, Hope Uzodinma, right?
Yes.
And home to Owele Rocha Sokorocha. So what was the outcome like? What was the turnout like in that zone?
Well, in the places visited yesterday, it was all peaceful exercise, even our Kigo zone. And there was we didn't witness pockets of violence, except in the cases of, normal altercations you witness in ballot, in voting areas and polling units. There was no violence. It was just peaceful, I must tell you, except the late arrival of materials from INEC. You understand? According to INEC, they said that it was due to sorting and all of that. I must still say is that they are yet to get it right when you talk about logistics, because I can't imagine the Owerri Municipal is just here and a polling unit is just maybe 2 minutes from that point, and they still found it difficult to get the materials to that place at that particular point in time. So it still boils down to that logistic issue they talked about before they rescheduled that poll to 23rd yesterday. So the election was largely peaceful, I must tell you.
Okay, going forward, do you think future exercises that we might witness an improvement?
Well, I think with the zeal and passion I saw from the voters yesterday, going forward, perhaps by 9th of March, there will be an improvement, believe me. And you know very well that 9th will be a very big one here in Imo, where we have a whole lot of political gladiators slugging it out from, some of the, would I just call them, first-line political parties, you understand? So it will be very, very interesting. A whole lot of persons, it doesn't really matter to them who governs Nigeria, or who presides over the affairs of the country, or who represents them at the National Assembly. But when it comes to the state, they are always, very, very critical stakeholders. So we will see more enthusiasm, we will see more zeal and passion from the voters as we go to the governorship election on March 9th.
Thank you very much, Paul Chukwu.
You're welcome.
All right. There you have Paul Chukwu from Owerri, the Imo State capital. They're giving an update of what happened in Imo State, to be precise, yesterday as it concerns the 2019 elections. Well, it's been the same news. The movement of logistics, election materials by the Independent National Electoral Commission, especially we witnessed it. It was unfortunate here, especially as it concerns Umuahia, not local government I monitored. But before
it was the same thing in Abia North, like I told you. In some polling units we visited. In fact, when we were going there, we noticed that some boys of voting age, adults, were really playing soccer. When we tried to find out why they were not voting, they said, why did they have to postpone the thing in the first place? Then some of them said that they were not able to get their PVC. They couldn't collect their PVC. And some other people said that they've been waiting there, and as soon as the INEC people come, that they are going to go to their various polling unit to cast the ballot. Those were the issues. And the voter apathy that he talked about, that characterized the exercise in Owerri Municipal yesterday, he said but there was voter apathy, that because people felt that there was no need for them to come out again because of the postponement of last 2 Saturdays ago, the election. Well, I thought we would have gone past that level because it's all about us. It's something we are supposed to do for ourselves, even if they postpone it like 2 or 3 times. So long as it's in the best interest of the country to get it right, I think everybody should come out and vote. There's no big deal about it. What will you be doing at home? Staying indoors without going to choose your leaders? And should any other person, does that for you, you start complaining. So I don't think it's really nice for people to have stayed back, and because the exercise was postponed 2 Saturdays ago.
All right, we do have a guest in the studio right now, Richard Okoro. He's a member. He's a family, I will say, or a member of the Transition Monitoring Group and an election observer who observed the election here in Abia State yesterday. And I'm very sure you're still observing because collation is ongoing. What did you observe yesterday, generally? What did you observe and where did you touch?
Okay. Thank you, first of all. It was a wonderful experience we had. Like, Transition Monitoring Group is a coalition of civil society groups.
Okay.
So we have our members scattered all over the state.
Okay.
But particularly I was in Isialangwa South. And, the antecedents of that area. And, the expectations were very high. But thank God everything went smoothly.
Okay.
Unlike what people were thinking was going to happen and all that.
Okay. I hope you didn't experience a late arrival of election materials and also election officers yesterday at Isialangwa.
Well, definitely it was. I don't know whether that place was even the worst, because
Okay.
as of 1:30, materials were yet to arrive at Akunebu, Eziamo, Ward 6, where I was particularly, I was stationed to be, because that ward is the largest ward there.
Okay.
So I particularly chose to be there personally. Then some of our members who were in Ward 5 and others, it was all the same story. Materials came as late as 1:30. I'm telling you, 1:30.
So how was that sorted out? Did they later vote?
Yes, but the implication, of course, is that a lot of people who might have wanted to vote and who have waited endlessly, may not have come back, while some who were enthusiastic actually came back. But one thing was generally agreed was that all the agents agreed that everybody that is in that field that came out that day must be accredited, and everybody did. But it all made it to end so late. That place was supposed to be a ward collection center for that ward.
Okay.
But they couldn't count the other wards from there, from other polling units that came. So they took it to the collection center, which is the naval base. And you know what it means. Not everybody will be allowed to enter there. Like, it was around 7:30 to 8 in the first place.
Wow.
So for you to move from Abuba to Umueke, where the naval base is, you know what it means. So it's only affected for people to know exactly what was the outcome of that ward.
Did you try to find out what were the reasons behind the delays that you experienced yesterday?
Well, like somebody I was listening before I walked in here. Somebody said he cannot tell you because I'm not INEC. I wouldn't really. Whatever I tell could be speculation, either from what I heard on the radio and all that. But I wish INEC would have told us what really happened.
Okay.
Because when they came with more than 6 buses. And then one of the questions I was asking to myself was, if you have up to 6 buses or 4 with security agents, why then do you have to come on convoy? Why didn't you split yourself? Some people go to Ward 3, Ward 4 and all that, while some people... So they were all coming in together at the same time with the INEC officials, coming with the election materials at the same time. So I was thinking, for me, it was a logistic problem of maybe there were not enough buses or vehicles. But when they came into that Abuba Primary School with more than 4 buses filled up with both security men and workers, I was like, why must they come together at the same time? So it's only the INEC will tell us exactly what was the problem.
Okay, you've seen many elections. You've seen many elections in this state, Richard.
Yes.
And then from that experience, I'm sure you got reports from other zones, other
yes.
centers.
It's coming in, yes.
What exactly is the picture like?
Well, the picture is that there is no incidences of large-scale violence, unlike in the past, where people were snatching boxes and all that. Surprisingly, people were not even talking about snatching of election boxes and all that. You know, so but one thing that is very glaring from all the reports we're getting in is that there is this enthusiasm from people. All the party agents were like, they shine their eyes. Keep this money thing apart. Like, that something happened after we voted, a whole lot of ballot boxes were unused. So they were like, well, a particular political party was like, let's share these ballot papers and print it, since it's not for INEC to go back with it. All the other agents said, no, we're not sharing nothing. INEC, go back with your ballot papers. Whatever the results are, declare it here.
What has been the practice from your experience?
The practice has been, okay, well, since it's like this, let's share it. Party A, take 20, let me take 30, the other person take 40. On mutual agreements, they do that. And on consensus, they thumbprint and then put it there. I've seen it, I've witnessed it so many places. Like in the previous programs when I come here, I make the same thing. I have them, some of them recorded. But now, all the agents are like, nowhere. Nowhere. If it is invalid ballot paper, it is invalid. There's nothing like 3/4 of it is in Party A, 1/4 is in Party B, so let's give it to Party A. No. Invalid is invalid. If it's a mistake, it's a mistake. How many ballot papers remaining? Take it back home, INEC. We are not sharing anything.
Okay, sir. I don't know if you observed that in the course of voting, you see the aged ones who are probably not well lettered.
Exactly.
And they may not really know who they want to vote for.
Exactly.
In such situation, what normally plays out?
Good. What was agreed where I was they said no party agent should aid anybody. If you need help, ask the independent observer, who was me. The INEC officials agreed, the security officer, the police agreed, all the party agents agreed. Because if you say, let the agent be taking the person in, he may induce that person. Now, there was only one police officer for you to say, let the police be doing that. And like I said, that Ward 6 is the largest ward. So they have 2 polling units in one place and also a collection center.
Just a police officer?
Just one police officer.
Wow.
So what we agreed was, we had a meeting before they came and before we started. Policeman, mine booth 1, while I mine booth 2. If there's any aged person or who is not well lettered or who is not well informed that needs help, if the person needs help, only and if the person said, help me. But if not, the person handles it. So that was how we worked it out in my place. I don't know if it is right or wrong, but at least it saved a lot of headache.
Okay, Richard, we had a very unique case in Oluoah yesterday. Okay. In Oluoah North, the polling unit was just like 5 minutes drive to the INEC office in Adelabu. And up to 2 p.m. when we visited, there was nothing to show that there was going to be an election in that particular center. No INEC official, no ballot box, no security official, not even a core member. So that played out in most of the centers in Oluoah. Imagine the proximity from Oluoah to even INEC office, even the INEC headquarters. They can probably walk into that place and carry whatever material that is due to their unit and come and then have the process.
Like we were monitoring with our phones with our colleagues. The person in Oluoah said even Oluoah has not gotten theirs. That what they told them was that they want to start from the rural, the most interior areas, to give, and then they come out to the closest ones. I don't know, like I said, INEC is the only one that can give an in-depth explanation of what happened, but I know it's the same thing. People in Oluoah never got materials, while some places like, what do you call it? Umumbe had some materials and all that. So it's the same thing.
Okay, in your analysis, what you observed yesterday, did we get it right, or we have a long way to go?
Well, a lot of things played right, I must confess. Like the issue of insecurity, ballot snatching, thuggery, and all that. Like I said, every agent, I don't know how they were tailored to behave. They behave properly. If it is not this, it is not this.
That's in Abia State.
In some of the reports we are getting.
Okay.
There was this pre-meeting at the polling booth. What do we want? The agent. Do the right thing. Everybody agreed. Who is to aid somebody that is not well informed? Is it the police or one of the INEC ad hoc staffs?
Okay.
So these things were put in place, and that really curtailed a whole lot of incidences that were not really well managed in the past. So that's a progress. But on the other side, where materials came very late, is unacceptable. 2 p.m.
I think it was the situation in most of the polling units here in Abia State, except Ikuano, according to what we observed, because we had a situation room right here in the studios of Flow 94.9 FM, and our reporters we sent across the length and breadth of Abia State reported that in Ikuano, voting started as early as 8:30, past 8, which is still acceptable to the people there. It was acceptable, and it was the only positive report we got yesterday from the field. I don't know from your group, transition monitoring group, or what you got from the field yesterday.
Well, some like Mpachara Ward.
Okay.
Started about 10 o'clock, which is fair. The same logistics problem wouldn't have played out the way it played out yesterday. So if it took you extra 1 week to plan on logistics and you still did not get it right, I wonder what, because I know we had several meetings with the REC, the Abia INEC REC in Abia, and he assured us that vehicles are not the problem, that they have enough vehicles
and they
can move.
They had this relationship with the transport union
and all that, yes. So like I said, it's only the REC can actually explain to us, because a lot of people are really feeling worried that if it happens the next election, it may really not be good, because 7 o'clock, 7:15, even the next staff became afraid. How can I count ballot papers? There's one policeman without baton, without gun. You know, the youth were already gingering.
They became apprehensive. Yeah.
Yes. So they said it's okay, we're not going to count again. Let's go down to naval base, whatever that is they call it. No. So those things are not so, because everybody is supposed to collect the results of his party and note whatever that they have. So
well, in the situation that there were places where election didn't hold yesterday, we got a report too. Election, I don't know if you got the same report. Election didn't hold in some polling units here in Abia State yesterday. I understand that. I don't know what INEC resolved to do in those places. What do you think about these two?
Well, like I said, it all boils down to the same late arrival of material. If the materials arrive early enough, there is no reason why election won't hold. Then secondly, like I said, there is consciousness, you know, high level of consciousness that people are no longer talking about violence. Okay. Everybody is like, let's do this thing peacefully and go home. So if materials come on time, the issue of cancelling of election materials, I wouldn't really know. And for me, Oluoah is not a very big town like Owerri or Lagos. Okay. So logistics couldn't be a problem.
And that's exactly what actually got us worried, because just meters away from the distribution center here in Oluoah, I mean the next polling units to the INEC office along Bender Road, they didn't get the materials as late as around 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon we got there. So these are the reasons, these are the things I think we should improve on looking at the election we will be having on the night of March.
Well, like I know there is room for improvement. Yes. Definitely the REC will still hold meetings with some of us and probably make explanations and then see how we can work towards having a better election match. Because they know what happened. We don't know. Whatever I tell you here is based on speculations, which is not proper. So they know the reasons why or where they got it wrong. But whatever it is, it is not left for them to see what they can do to improve on it, because people are really out to vote.
Yes.
People are really out.
In fact, we need to. We're happy that the level of education amidst the voters is actually commendable. The turnout was massive, actually, initially, before they went back to their various houses.
But even at that, the party still needs a lot of work to do. So many of the aged or the illiterate people were still doing invalid votes. Some were even voting parties that has no candidate. So that is to show that maybe they concentrated in other areas, not actually voter education, which is about the proper ways to vote. So I think if we can do more from the political side, then because definitely you don't blame those old women and men. Some of them have eyes problem, and some of them too. They enter there, they begin to jitter. They're not stable. The confidence is lost, and then that's how they make those mistakes. So a lot of improvements has to be done. And then the issue of card reader, I was surprised. Most people were saying no card reader, no election.
All right, just a second, rather. We will get back to you, but we have a reporter from Enugu State ready to give us an update of what is happening, what happened yesterday, and also what is happening presently in Enugu. Good afternoon to you, Michael.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Michael is a political correspondent for a radio station in Enugu and also secretary of the private broadcast chapel of the Nigeria Union of Journalists in Enugu. Thank you very much for joining us on this special coverage of the 2019 elections. Well, what did you observe yesterday?
Okay, basically here in Enugu, I can say that we start with the security. I think the security here in Enugu is relatively compliant with the lay down rules, and I think there's no interference whatsoever as far as concerned based on the areas and pulling those citizens. Meanwhile, yesterday I was able to go back to the main officials and mainly of the local government area and mainly local government area. For the local government area and main local government area houses one of the bigger ways, the PDP here in Enugu State. When we talk about bigger ways of PDP, we're looking at the particular person, and the House of Representatives for the League and American constituency of the PDP. As well as they are competing with some of that bigger ways from the All Progressive Congress. I think these two major parties are the biggest in the race. For Madi is contesting the Mississippi Capital, an appointee of the